All right, so let's see if we have a smoother intro today than we had this morning. So looks like we're live and we're already bouncing here. Mic check, mic check. So looks like we're live. Yeah, sounds like that's coming through. Fantastic. Okay, cool. Let me. I'm going to do some social media posting here and go through an intro with you guys real quick, and then we will get up and running here for some martial powers class design today. So. For those that don't know, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I have been focusing attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition pretty much since the release of the Ravnica Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica campaign setting back in 2017. That's actually the catalyst that got me to actually start creating 5e content for public consumption. The lack of color magic language as a paradigm in the Ravnica setting, and then in Strixhaven and Theros, it isn't present in any of them, and that is like the identity, the core of what Magic the Gathering settings are about. And since it's logical and minimalist to just depict the setting as using the normal spell slots and 8 schools of magic that exist inside D&D, but I think there was a large disappointment from the community as a whole that there just wasn't any mention of the iconic 5-color mana system that Wizards of the Coast also owns as their own IP. So that's what led us to creating the color mana spell point system, which basically replaces the 8 schools of magic and spell slots to the 5-color magic paradigm and mana as points. The core of it, I mean, you can check out. For those that knows, I'm on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney if you want to follow me there. Like, subscribe, get a bell icon for notifications of when I'm live in the future, which is like 10 times per week. So cheers, and thank you so much for everyone that's jumped on board as a subscriber as a result of Kraken Week, seeing the mega kaiju mechanics that are inside my Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book. We've got a lot of content that's going to be coming out for Spelljammer using those mechanics. They're definitely worth your time looking at. As is the color mana system that we have. There's a link down here on the DMsGuild. There's like 6 books in this so far, and it's all going to get updated for 2024 when the new books come out. And what we're currently working on is the martial powers system. So the way that spells work, it's spend 1 mana, it's worth 1 level. If you want to throw a burning hand spell, that's a red spell because it's fire, and it would cost you 1 point of red mana. You have a mana pool. You can, on any short or long rest, decide how much of your mana is devoted to each color. If you were to cast, like, say, a fireball, which is a 3rd level spell, and you wanted to upcast it to, like, say, 6th level, you'd spend 1 point of mana for the fireball, and then, like, the other 5 points to upcast it to 6th. If you wanted to, like, say, cast a disintegration spell, which is necromancy, I think it's a necromantic effect, or is it? Or let's go with something a little easier, like Power Word Kill, for instance, is a 9th level spell. That is a necrotic. That is a black magic effect. Because it's 6th level or above, it would have to be all 9 points have to be black. So as you gain levels, you get more mana. You have to divide up your mana pool. If a color isn't naturally the color that you want it, you can either research it during downtime to make it the color that you want, or you can learn it twice on the fly. You can prepare it twice. So, like, if you wanted your fireball, like, say you're Golgari and you have black and red mana, black and green mana, but you wanted to be able to throw a fireball, you would learn fireball as a red spell. But since Golgari narratively doesn't have red mana, you would then learn fireball a 2nd time, and then it could be either black or green, your choice. You could learn it a 3rd time to make it both black and green if you wanted to, but at that point you're just kind of wasting your prepared spells. So you can either prep your spells or learn them, study them, so they fit inside of a narrow band of mana, or you can have a diverse pool with lots of mana in each. It just won't. They'll be broad but shallow. So that's a fun way for full casters to get to have some of their power reduced, like in 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and Beckme, like Pathfinder 2 is right now, where you have less flexibility on how you use your spell points to cast the spells that you want on command. You can have them on command by spending the time and research to do so, or by just double learning them so that the color that you want. But the martial power system is a lot more flexible than that. And for anyone that wants to tag along and check it out, you can click there into, you don't have to be a member of my Discord, but if you click here, it takes us to where we are right now. Hey Alexander. And then here, if you click that, martial powers, it's a read-only document for people, but this is literally the document that we're going to be working in today. So you can tag along and check this out. We've already play tested it from level 16 to 20. We just did some playtesting for level 3 and 4. We're looking at how the changes in scaffolding are working for the classes in 2024, and we're updating this document accordingly. And once we see the monk on Monday, we'll have a good base knowledge of how they work so we can continue playtesting. We'll be starting at level 5 and 6. We're running around in the Rubble Belt of Ravnica, basically a wilderness hex crawl adventure landscape where we can just sling mana, deal damage, take rests, and keep cycling through the game to see if it works as well. At high levels, it's great because you have tons of mana. It's the low level that we want to make sure it feels right, even though you're going to have your options restricted with the limited pool that you have. Hold on real quick. Hey, what's up? Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. The idea is just to make sure that, like, when this is complete, this is actually here. I'm going to start scrolling through the document here. We have the 2024 versus 2014 Rangers, so we know what the new things that are clicking into place. We have the basic scaffolding here. For those that don't know, all of these are half casting, getting like half. We call it channeling power instead of casting spells. But it's just a label to differentiate it from spell casting, so that our barbarian can have access to it. But this system works for barbarians, fighters, monks, paladins, rangers, and rogues. And then artificers can learn infusions to infuse power into their gear, so you have power gear. And further down the document, we have random tables for generating power gear. And we started some preliminary examples of different tiered artifacts and magic items that are utilizing power. And then the Warlocks, they have their normal progression. If you aren't already familiar with the spell point variant rules that we use, here is where is it? There was a link. It's here inside of the list here. Here's the spell conversions for the mana system for normal spellcasters using all the spells from the player's handbook. If you buy the bundle, you get all 500 whatever spells that have been published so far. But oh yeah, here's spell point Warlocks. Spell point Warlocks is just spell points instead of spell slots, basically. And we provided, it's a pay what you want. It's like 4 sales away from being a gold medal. It's like, if you spend $1 on it, you're gonna help me hit that gold medal status if you're interested. But I want to earn your respect. So we have 2 scaffoldings. We offer the spell points as presented in the DMG, which is the inferior model. And then we have the superior mana system, which you can scroll down and see a few pages later. Universal spell points and high magic using color mana system. It's 1 point per level, and you can spend at 19th level 10 mana to upcast to a 10th level spell, and Wish becomes the only spell in the game that's 10th level. So you can't even cast Wish until you're 19th level, but we add it to the Warlock spell list, and at 20th level you can have an Epic Wish, which is, the bendable, like, I can do whatever I want with this wish, but there's a chance it's going to burn out and I'll never be able to use it again. The way that this system works is that you can do that, but the way that you trigger that, you cast the spell for 10 mana, and you sacrifice mana permanently to change the world permanently. So I'm going to sacrifice 10, I'm going to cast the spell at 10 mana, and then I open a negotiation with the DM as my patron. And then during the course of that conversation, we decide, what do we want to modify? Is this going to end the campaign, or is this sustaining your campaign at level 20? And how much mana are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? If anyone out there has seen Full Metal Alchemist and you've seen the last episode and you know the sacrifice that Elric makes, you're immediately going to understand what we're talking about here. And that is a good example of sacrificing your entire mana pool to get what you want. And that is such a great show. And that is such an awesome episode. It is worth the 80 some odd episodes to get to that point, because you're just gonna, it's what gaming's about, man. It's so hot. So anyway, packs and patrons, generic mana, 1 point for 1. So a Warlock has 20 levels. They gain 1 point of pack mana, which you get back on a short rest. And then you have Mystic Arcanum points, which you gain back on a long rest. You can't spend pack mana on Mystic Arcanum, but you can sacrifice your Mystic Arcana to cast more pack magic. So if you don't want to cast your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th level spell, at 20th level, you're going to have an extra 60 mana for you to dump into level 1 to 5 spells. So it's an incredible flexible class. I've ran campaigns where everyone was where the casters were just warlocks, and they just respun their features. So like they'd be using invocations like a druid using wild shape as invocations. An incredibly flexible system, and I recommend you check it out. So given that that framework, we have the martial powers playtest here. We're looking at characters. The martial points are short rest, just like the warlock, 1 to 20. The warlock benefits from that, as does the fighter, the barbarian, and the rogue. The paladin and the ranger retain their half-casting status. As you can see, we already have the first level incorporated into spellcasting. As a long rest, you get 2 points per level, which means you have 2 castings of your spell at first level, and it will eventually stack up to 40 mana at 20th level. And there's this power system has a power die, which is like a martial arts die, inspiration die, battle master's maneuver die, but it's less potent than any of those specialist classes, because like the bard inspires people. The bard is going to be better at it than you. That's fair, but this stuff is like self-inspiring, but it also doubles as a damage die for like strike effects or different maneuvers or powers that you can use that can damage people. You'll roll a number of power dice equal to the mana spent, and that's how much mana you add to the damage. And each class has ways of cheating in extra mana or extra dice so that you can manipulate your action economy during your round to give up actions to get more power. Or you can sometimes burn power to get more actions. There you go. So you build your own sequence. If you checked out the last session, we walked through all the specific details about how the stuff in general works. And today we're focusing our attention specifically on the ranger. So there's 171 powers, 115 of them require mana. The other 50 some odd are basically like cantrip sort of effects that we've gone into. And so we're going to, if you're interested in this, you can check the previous 151 episodes to see how we built this thing from scratch. How far, this is like over a year back. So almost everything that you see implemented here had already began before they even announced the revision to 2024. I am thrilled to see how much of what is happening in 2024 just curves right into what we're doing here already. It's going to be even easier to have this mesh into 24 than it does for 2014. So I'm really excited about that. So scrolling down here to the Ranger, one of the big complaints that we're hearing already about the Ranger, granted we don't know how spells work in general, but we do know that Hunter's Mark requires concentration. Boo. Marshals having to maintain concentration to be able to perform core features of their class is iffy design at best. I'd like to take this moment to not just punch up at Wizards of the Coast, but to also spread awareness that just because you're the publishing company in the world's largest role-playing game budget doesn't mean you're necessarily the best at designing it. There's a lot of indication now that the design staff that they didn't fire that's left potentially doesn't do much better than some of the higher end third-party designers of the 5e game space. So if you're looking at, if you don't necessarily like what's happening, take a look around and look at what some of the other solutions are from other people that have been building successful projects in the 5e space to look for alternatives or inspiration. There's a lot of options out there. If you wanted to consider me amongst them, then I am honored that I would hold that level of trust in your game space. And I don't assume it. I assume I have to earn it. So we're going to just kick through the Ranger features again real quick, just to catch up on them. All of the subclasses. If the Rangers didn't get spells in 2014, they might get bonus spells in 2024. It would make sense that they do. But currently the scaffolding for 2014 is either you get 0 spells or 5. And all of the subclasses we have here get 10 powers, just like all the spellcasting subclasses get 10 spells just added as permanently prepared. So we do the same thing. If a Ranger gets 5 spells, then we'll give them 5 powers. If a Ranger gets no spells, we'll give them 10 powers, and the powers that we choose are going to complement the abilities that are proposed by that subclass is portraying, that archetype, that ludonarrative flavor. So let's get through the barbarian and the fighter. And again, you guys are welcome to traipse along with this stuff and read along with me if you want. It's read only for you. This will eventually be published on the DMs Guild. Once we get through with playtesting, we proof everything across 2024. We'll begin book production. We'll do the book cover here. We'll be painting that online. We'll be doing some of the layouts. Isn't nearly as exciting to watch or listen to as artwork production, but we'll be doing some of the page layouts here on camera just so you guys see what that process looks like. Once the layouts are done, we'll drop them into the book. We'll have empty spaces inside of the document that we'll need that we'll want to fill with illustrations. So we'll start peeling pages out of the PDF, dropping them here into Photoshop, and like all these book covers we painted online. So you can check out my history and check out the production of these different book covers and see how, see what that's like. So, but I have limited time today, so I want to make sure that I'm getting through the stuff that I need to get through. I've got about an hour at this point, so let's get into it. So for those that tuned in last time, and it's in the playlist, it's just the previous episode, we had already replaced Hunter's Mark, Favored Foe, and what was that other thing from Tasha's? Favored Foe and favorite enemy and Favored Foe. So we swapped all those things out with Mark of Prey. So the way that for those that are not yet indoctrinated, we have sustained powers. There's 5 disciplines of mana powers, which are exploits, which are while you're rolling your die, you spend extra mana to improve your die roll. Or while you're moving, you spend mana to modify what kind of movement you can take. Like, if I'm going to move, I spend a point of mana, I can fly this round, for instance. Or while I'm moving, I can spend a point of mana, and anyone that I cross path with during that movement doesn't provoke attack of opportunity and deals like a power die of damage. I think that might be a 2 mana ability. Anyway, there's a slew of different abilities. The exploits just modify what you're doing without requiring extra action economy to do it. It's already being done. You're just spending mana to kick it. And then there are maneuvers, which can be done as an action or a bonus action. You can do it twice in the same turn. You can use the same power in your same turn, or you can use different powers in your same turn. And so you can break up your action economy. If all you want to do is be like a point and click Scion sort of character, then you can just load up on maneuvers. This includes like all the Battle Master friend maneuvers, as well as a bunch of spell-like powers that target enemies, and often requires a saving throw to accomplish an effect, and potentially dealing extra damage based on how much mana that you're spending. Reactions are triggered and by various circumstances. You'll always use a reaction. However, we also have opportunity attacks as a subcategory of reactions. There is a rule in the Dungeon Master's Guide called Mark. Whenever you hit a target with a mark, whenever you hit a target with an attack, until the beginning of your next turn, they are marked. And if that marked creature would provoke an attack of opportunity, you can use that opportunity to attack without spending your reaction. So we have a stack of maneuvers inside here that are considered opportunity attacks. So if you have if you could attack something with an opportunity attack, because hold on, let's trace down here real quick because it's important to talk about it. Like for example, interpose. As a reaction to when an ally within reach of your melee attack takes damage from a source you can see, you can take any portion of that damage and gain resistance to it. This power is considered an opportunity attack. So if I mark somebody with an attack and then they hit an ally and they're within reach of my melee attack, that is considered an opportunity attack. And the mark from the DMG says I can use an opportunity attack because they just triggered the OA. So instead of me making an attack against them, I would be able to use interpose, because the condition for using interpose as an opportunity attack is if they hit my friend. I wouldn't be able to hit them for damage. That would be a different effect. But if I wanted to spend the point of mana, I could take damage from my friend instead. That's basically how opportunity attacks work, and there's a ton of them. Like downtrodden, whenever somebody becomes prone within range of your weapon, I can make an opportunity attack and deal damage to them, and I get to roll an extra power die to increase the chance of hitting them. So there's also the tripping mastery. If I topple you and you get tripped, I can then use my own opportunity attack to attack you. So I topple you, I trigger a mark, I get an opportunity attack, I spend a point of mana to get a reaction off of that opportunity attack, which I then roll the power die to increase the chances of hitting you. I'm also at advantage, and then bam, I hit you. I could then use a strike power on top of that. So strike powers are triggered just like the Divine Smite 2014. Whenever I hit with an attack, I can choose to deal damage, and I can do this any number of times as an attack or as a bonus action. Paladins remove their Divine Smite and Smite spells from their list if you're going to use the power system, but you're going to want to use the power system because it allows you incredible flexibility. There's like 35 different Smite powers inside of here. They all deal extra damage. We have specific rules for the Paladin that ramp up over time. You should check that out. It's in a previous episode. It's labeled Paladins. Check it out. And then the fifth discipline of power are sustained powers. Sustained powers are self-buffing concentration effects that don't require concentration. When you spend mana, you have a budget, and the budget of sustained powers equals your max rank of power. You're using half casting progression, so 1 at first, 2 at 5th, 3 at 9th, 4 at 13th, and then it caps at 5 at 17th. So at 17th level, I can sustain 5 ranks worth of power at once. Whether it's a single power that's 5 mana, 5 powers that are 1 mana each, 1 power that's 2, and another power that's 3. Any of these combinations, as long as it totals 5, you can have a total of 5. Once you put the mana on, you don't get that mana back until the power ends. So if you sustain this power through a short rest, you don't get that mana back because it's still being used. It hasn't been spent yet. It's technically tapped in use. So while you're sustaining these effects, the sustained effects are basically permanent. So looking at some of the options that we have for sustained effects, just real quick, at first rank, like for example, second rank here, auto attunement. While sustaining this power, it costs 2 mana for you to do this. So you have to spend 2 mana, and it's going to tie up 2 ranks of power for you to do other stuff. But while you are sustaining auto attunement, you can attune to any magic item that you're wearing or holding that you meet the prerequisites for. So it just automatically clicks on. And like the Thief, for example, it can use it has the cheat ability in its subclass to basically be able to use any magic item that you want. This is going to allow you to basically pick up any item, and while you're holding it, you're automatically attuned to it. So you could have a wand slinger that has a whole bandolier full of wands. You pick it up while you're using auto attunement. As soon as you pick it up, you're attuned to it. You can use it, set it down, swap out the item with an object interaction, and then you have a different item that you can use as a reaction if you wanted to. So this is allowing you, like the artificer, really would want to spec into auto attunement, because even though you can attune to anything that you infuse during the course of creation, you can also just stack up on a ton of magic items and just infuse. There you go. That's an example. Another first level sustained power, Trap Springer. While this power is sustained, you have advantage on intelligence and wisdom checks looking for investigation and perception to notice traps. You automatically understand the general nature of that trap, and you gain advantage on intelligence and dexterity checks using tools you're proficient with to disarm that trap. So like Trap Springer is like, I am now a rogue. If you don't have a rogue on the team, all you have to do is just sustain 1 mana on Trap Springer, and your rogue is taking you have your Trap Springer. There you go. So there's a ton of these cool little powers, and so we know like at first level you can only sustain 1 of them for 1 mana. So what did we do? We made the Rangers Hunter's Mark. Instead of it being a spell that you have to sustain, it becomes a first rank power that you get a free point of mana every time you finish a short rest. If you aren't already sustaining Mark of Prey, you get a point of mana for free that can only be spent to just churn on Mark of Prey. And then the way that the feature works, similarly to others, is when you can use a bonus action to mark a creature, and you can use your bonus when you hit a creature with a melee attack. You could use your bonus action immediately to make that creature your prey, and then all the benefits of prey automatically apply during that hit. So the things that you get initially out the gate, these have been modified to align with what we see in the 2024 book. So this is just basically a better version of the 100 mark solution. So at first level, while sustaining the mark, you gain advantage on intelligence and wisdom checks for investigation, insight, perception, and survival against your prey. And when you hit your prey with an attack, you gain free mana to deal a strike power against that creature automatically. At first rank, you can only channel 1 mana into a strike, which means you can roll an extra die of damage plus whatever kicker effect there is. So let's take a quick look at some of the badass strikes that we have in here. And the way that we've designed it is that all conclaves gain a strike for free at first level. So you'll automatically always be able to use this, and you'll always have a strike power prepared so that you can implement this, and depending on what your conclave is, will flavor what that strike power is. And you can just add on, just 35 of them. You can add on as many as you want, because your character is going to have a total of 16 powers by the time you hit 20th level. So there's way more powers, there's way more strike powers than your character is ever going to be able to use on your class. So pick and choose. You're a prepped caster. All these characters are prepared channelers. So whenever you finish a long rest, you can swap out all of your powers to have as much utility and versatility in helping your team succeed the current task as the full casters do. On top of it, there's a concept called the sideboard. This is a very meta narrative. This is a very meta mechanic that's inspired by Magic the Gathering. When you're playing best of 3 in Magic the Gathering, you'll have a sideboard. You'll have your deck, and then you have a sideboard full of things that will modify. Like if I'm playing a Graveyard Hate deck, for instance, then I will have a sideboard. If I run into a deck, if my opponent is able to destroy my graveyard, I'll have cards in my sideboard that I can swap out with other options so that I can protect my graveyard from being destroyed, for instance. The sideboard here works the same way. Whatever your max rank of power is the number of powers that you can have on your sideboard. Whenever you finish a short rest, you can swap out as many of powers that you have currently on your sideboard from powers that you have prepared. The prepared powers become your sideboard, and the stuff that any number of the things that are on your sideboard become prepared, and you can just swap them out like that. We see that the wizard gained a feature that allows them to swap 1 spell during a short rest. This sideboard is like that idea, except it goes a lot further, and of course we had that idea like maybe 3 months before they came up with it and showed it with us. So I am bragging, but the point is that if you're concerned about this stuff being too powerful, it's already using all the shit that we have, all the new toys that are in 2024. They already fit in the stuff that we're doing here. So this is going to be really easy for anybody to adopt. The only thing that changes, the only thing that people might be concerned about is the amount of power that you can use with strikes. And if you don't like that, you could just decide to house rule that you can only use 1 strike during a turn, which means you'd still be able to use it during reactions, and it's not a spell, so it can't get countered, and it deals less damage than what a paladin smite would normally be able to do until you get to 17th level. From level 1 to 8 is a little less powerful than a paladin's normal smite. At level 9 through 16, it's the same level of power. At level 17, it's a little bit stronger than what the paladin would normally be able to do. So you're being curved at the front end where it's the most problematic, and it balances out in the mid game where it should be, and then at the tail end game it gives you a little bit of an extra kick. So hey, what's up? You deserve to. Thank you, appreciate that. I must have a hell of a delay. Yeah, so the sideboard, you can swap out powers, so you're gonna have a ton of versatility built into the class. Here's some of the cool strike powers. Without going into too much detail about anything specifically, distracting strike, 1 mana. Your weapon deals an extra point of damage based on your power die, and then the next attack roll against that target has advantage if the attack is made before the start of my next turn. So I can make the attack, an ally can make the attack. I hit you, whoever is next to attack, including me. So distracting strike on a rogue would be super useful. Like if I'm using like double daggers, I could hit you with a distracting strike on the first one. This one now has advantage. Hit you there, and now I get my sneak attack, and that costs me 1 point of mana, for instance. So you can layer in things like that. Higher level stuff, what's a good one? Second rank, goading strike, restraining strike, Intimidating strike. Okay, 3 mana, provoking strike. Your weapon deals psychic damage equal to the number of power dice that you rolled, and at 3rd rank, we know that a 3rd rank power requires 9th level, and 9th level, it's 3 mana max, it's a D8. So if you want to use this power at all, it's going to be 3d8 damage, extra damage that you're going to be dealing, and the creature can only attack you until you lose line of sight or you are incapacitated. The creature can attempt to end the effect by succeeding a wisdom saving throw at the end of each of its turns. Creatures immune to charm save with advantage. So most of these strikes automatically affect you, and then you have to get out of them. So if you have things with legendary resistance, your strikes are going to land. They're going to do bad news to them, and then at the end of their turn, after you've had a chance to make use of the effect, the DM can just decide, okay, that's over. I'm getting out of this. So there's a more fair balance of play by placing saving throws at the end of a creature's turn instead of when they're first targeted by the effect. Ironically, though, the maneuvers, most of the maneuvers that target enemies allow them a saving throw to avoid it, just like spells do. Spells, okay, here's the balance factor there. There's not a ton of mana that your characters have. If you're going to spend mana to affect somebody like this, it's great if you can guarantee it's going to land. You already have to hit them in the first place. So there's no guarantee you're going to hit. They can teleport, they can deflect, they can spike their armor class, they can blind you, make you get a disadvantage and lose it. Attacking is not a guarantee of hitting. So when you do get to hit, and then you decide to spend mana on it, it'd be nice that you actually be able to land the effect that you're hoping to do. That's the intention behind this tail end saving throw. I don't know if 2024 is going to implement that or not, but it would certainly allow them to reduce the conditional effects that they have against players. If monsters are automatically going to be able to pop players, I could see them saying, no, players should always be able to save before they're affected by stuff. I don't necessarily agree with that, but because the DMs like to be able to affect stuff too, but we don't have a lot of stuff in here that just says you can't act. Most of the stuff in here lets you do something somehow and then be able to get out of it at the end of your turn. But so strike powers, sustained powers don't require concentration. They automatically turn on and they stay on until you dismiss them, become incapacitated, probably because of a long rest. You choose to dismiss them, they can be dispelled. Those are pretty much the only ways they can be shut down. So the Mark of Prey is a sustained effect. Once you turn it on, it stays on until you choose to end it, take a rest, or somebody dispels it from you. It does the advantage to track your foe. It gives you the free point of mana that you can automatically spend on a first rank strike power. At higher levels, when you can channel 2, 3, 5 mana into a strike, that Mark of Prey just gives you a free point. So if I could channel a 3rd rank strike like that provoking strike, I would only have to spend 2 mana out of my mana pool because the Hunter's Prey, the Mark of Prey is going to fuel a free point of mana for me. So I can reduce the costs of things. I can also, while we're on the subject, you can spend, instead of learning powers, you can learn feats. You don't gain ability point increases when you do it this way, but there's 32 feats in here that you can choose to learn. If you don't want to fuck around with mana and you don't like the complexity of spellcasting, oh, it's so complicated. First level wizards, how am I supposed to do that? Anyway, if the idea of having mana and dealing with powers is too complicated for your champion fighter, just load your champion fighter up on a bunch of feats. You'll have 16 of them by the time he reaches level 20, and you can save all of your actual feats at 4, 6, 8, 12, whatever. You can save those for actually increasing your ability score as though you were a full caster, and you can stay stacking your effects up without having to sacrifice your martial prowess in the process. So one of the powers, one of the meta feats that's in here is efficient power. Efficient power, if it's a 2nd rank power or higher, when you choose efficient power, like for that provoking strike, for instance, it's a 3rd rank power. If I chose it to be efficient, whenever I use that power, it generates a point of mana for free for me. I'll have to find a way to get the other 2 mana in, but it's a 3rd rank power. Efficient power allows me to pay for one of the points for free. The Mark of Prey pays for a point for free, and then out of my own mana pool, I only have to spend 1 mana. There you go. Pretty freaking efficient. Once I get to higher levels, we have the empowered attacks. If I hit with my first attack, I can sacrifice my 2nd attack to gain an extra point of power. So if I have you marked, I have efficient power, and I sacrifice my 2nd attack, I could do a provoking strike for free, dealing an extra 3d8 damage. I've provoked you, There you go, and now you're my marked prey. So good stuff there. So folding all that in together, we're looking at the initially at first level, we've got the mark effect. You get the bonuses to track your prey. You get the free point of power to be able to channel a strike power through. At higher levels, let's see, at 13th level. So at 13th level in the new conclave, at the new ranger, at 13th level, what do they get? Damage no longer threatens to break your concentration on Hunter's Mark. Well, we no longer have to concentrate on it anyway because it's a power that's automatically sustained. This becomes a dead feature, so let's replace it. We're going to replace that with, starting at 13th level, while sustaining this mark, you can mark a different creature as your prey as part of an attack without using your bonus action to do so. Once during your turn. But you only have 2 attacks anyway, so that's not so bad. And additionally, you can score a critical hit against your prey with a roll of 19 or 20. And then let's look at 17th level Conclave, Ranger. You get advantage on attack rolls against creatures currently marked with Hunter's Mark. That's actually a really great feature. I wanted to include it at first level, but you would as a rogue, you would automatically dip Ranger 1 to be able to get the mark, and then 19 levels to get 10 hit dice with a sneak attack. So I decided it would be a good idea to push it all the way back to 17th level to stay in curve with how the current game is going. And honestly, auto advantage on anything that you mark, it's really good. So, and then in addition, you don't, let's see, 17th level, in addition, you gain advantage on attacks targeting your prey. But the main feature that we notice here is that you can sustain mark of play while you're unconscious and during a long rest. You don't regain the point of temporary mana while mark of prey is sustained this way, as above. And the marked prey, if you have something marked already, it can make a wisdom saving throw against your DC at the end of each 24 hours to get out of being marked. Otherwise, you can take a nap. When you wake it up, you know he's that way. Let's go. So there's that. A vast improvement, and it basically resolves all the issues we had with Mark. It gives you extra damage. It gives you the tracking bonuses. It gives you the flexibility to be able to swap out your targets regularly. Eventually, you'll always have advantage against attacks, and it can be sustained perpetually forever as long as your mark doesn't ditch you. So, not bad. The fighting styles we went over last session, so you can check those out. But and then, of course, Death Mark is the final evolution of what the Hunter's Prey is. The big capstone feature for Pact of Slayer. Oh my God. Okay, it's instead of a D6, you roll a D10. Fuck you. Okay, so instead, what we did was while you sustain this, the mark is only disrupted if you die. So even if you're knocked out, that would it doesn't matter. And you can score a critical hit on an 18, 19, or 20 instead of just a 19 or 20. And whenever you channel a strike power or you're making a die roll to target intelligence and wisdom, you roll a D12. You can add a D12 to the attack and damage rolls you make, against your prey. And you get to add a D12 to the intelligence and wisdom checks that you make to track your prey. And when you channel a strike power, you're using D12s instead of D10s. So the Ranger is able to cheat their way into a D12 at 20th level. They'll be using a D10 until 17th, just like everyone else is. But when you get the D12, if it's a marked target, you get to use that sweet D12. So this is a really strong Ranger, and I'm pretty happy about that. So conclaves, we're going to start looking at the conclaves and make sure that the things we have in here right now are still jiving with what we have up above. So Beast Companion. There's a slew of these. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of them today. I've got like maybe 35 minutes left, so we'll see how we do. I went through these all day, maybe last month, but since I made the adjustments with the 2024 information, just want to make sure everything is jiving still. So Beast Companion, assuming that we're using the Spirit Companion that they've already talked about in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, that's probably to be assumed at this point. At any time, you can spend 2 mana to resummon a companion at full hit points. You can take damage to your companion using your own hit points while you can see your companion. Your companion, so like you get the companion gets a stack of hit points, But once those, as long as it still has 1 hit point, you can decide to sacrifice any amount of your own hit points instead of your companion, as long as you have line of sight. The companion can move and act in tandem with the ranger during your turn. So you don't have to wait until your turn is over for your companion to act. It can act, because you're going to be able to eventually use your own action economy to have the creature attack more often. You can do that in the moment, so you can build your attack sequences and targeting prey by coordinating between you and your companion. And the companion, ranger and companion both have reactions each round. And companion natural attacks qualify as melee weapons of 1 silver piece in value to qualify for spells and feats that are considered unarmed unarmed attacks for use with feats and other options that require specific attacks. So, like, if rangers can use an action or a bonus action to command their companion to take any action, including single attacks, and the companion can benefit from any feats that you know, which is why that was important. So, like, if we take Sentinel, our pet has Sentinel, I have Sentinel, and we can both take reactions. So having a guard dog can actually guard the wizard. It's actually a really, really good tanking, because it's going to use your hit points and the dog's hit points to soak damage and block incoming attacks. Again, like you could like interpose that we looked at earlier, where you can choose to take any amount of damage that's within range of your melee attack. You can just post your guard dog with the wizard, and anytime an attack comes in, you can use your opportunity attack through your dog can use their opportunity attack to be able to channel that that power. Starting at 7th level. You can choose to channel any exploit or reaction you know through your companion. So that guard dog effect starts clicking in at 7th level. At 3rd level, you can channel strikes through your companion's attacks, and companion attacks can benefit from Mark of Prey. In addition, you can target your companion separately with a sustained power, so you can tap mana twice to affect your companion as well as yourself, which allows you to overclock the amount of mana that you would normally be able to sustain. Because you're not sustaining it for yourself, you're double dipping and sustaining for your pet. Let's see. So at 3rd level, your companion can use feats as well as strikes if you're willing to spend them. You both benefit from Mark of Prey, which means that you would be able to, when your dog hits, you'd be able to use your bonus action to channel to have the dog's prey, the dog's target become the Mark of Prey to benefit from the strike power that you would be able to freely channel through your dog. Your dog could then use a strike power of your choice, which could, for instance, be Tripping Strike, right? Or any of these, like Thundering Strike, push somebody back 10 feet, deal an extra point of damage. Tripping Strike, you automatically knock something down as long as they're one size larger or smaller than you. Shocking Strike, you take away their ability to use opportunity attacks until the end of their next turn. Like, these are all really fucking useful first rank powers to have. Like, out the gate, 1st level, these are incredibly good value. So you can start building the kind of hunter or defender that you want with this right out the gate. 7th level, again, you can now use any number of attacks during your attack action to command your companion to attack instead of making your own. I'd have 2 attacks normally. I can then make 2 attacks to my dog and use my bonus action for my dog to attack as well. And I can channel exploits and reactions during those attacks or during a normal round of combat. Gestalt Teamwork at 11th level. When I take the attack action, I get a 3rd attack that can only be used to command my companion. So by this point, I have 3 attacks, just like the fighter would, but I have to use my companion to do it. And I can use my bonus action to also have my companion attack a 4th time. So I could eat up all of my action economy and have my doggo attack something 4 times if I wanted to. I'm just going to sit back there and laugh. Shared power. You can choose to channel any maneuver power you know through your companion. You can choose to sacrifice the companion attack and then channel a maneuver as a bonus action. If you do, reduce the cost of the mana by 1 to a minimum of 0. You can choose to channel any maneuver power you know through your companion. You can choose to sacrifice the companion attack and then channel a maneuver as a bonus action. If you do, reduce the cost by 1. You can choose to channel any maneuver powers you know through your companion. Maneuver powers are actions or bonus actions. So if I choose, you can choose to channel any maneuver power you know through your companion. So my companion can make maneuvers for me, and I can choose to sacrifice the extra attack I get during the attack action. I can sacrifice that for free. I can sacrifice that extra attack to get a free point of mana, so that the bonus action is channeling a power at no cost. Okay. At 15th level, as a second rank sustained power, which means it's going to take 2 minutes. At 15th level, I can channel up to 4th rank powers. If I want to sustain 2 ranks of that power, I can summon and command a second companion. The power ends when I dismiss the pet or it's reduced to 0 hit points. I can use attacks during the attack action to order either companion. And furthermore, when a companion hits a creature, I can use my bonus action to mark that target as your prey as part of the attack. And then shared power, when you channel a sustained power or maintain concentration on a spell, my companions both benefit for free. So I don't have to spend extra mana to empower my companions with extra attacks. Or whatever else I want to do, like damage immunity or whatever sustained power I'm operating with. Granted, if I'm channeling Mark of Prey, that's 1 point, and I have a twin companion that's 3 points, and my max is 5. That means if I had all cylinders kicking on this, I would only be able to sustain up to a second rank power, a sustained. And even if I decide to cheat the efficient power down to like a 3rd rank power down to 2nd, it still takes 3 mana to use it. I just get a free point whenever I use it, so I wouldn't be able to overclock with a 3rd rank power. I'd still be limited to only 2nd rank sustained powers. So what's a cool 2nd rank sustained power that we could pick up? Giant growth. I can make my dog a large sized dog. If it's if it's small, 2 mana, it can become large. And then it would take 4 mana to become huge. So I can make my dog a large sized dog. I can start riding on it. I'd have a pair of it'd be like Thor's sister Hel from Ragnarok, the movie Ragnarok. She was riding around on the giant hellhound, or dire wolf. Same thing here. Opportunist is great. While this power is sustained, when you take the attack action, you can forgo any number of attacks during your turn to gain that number plus 1 additional opportunity attacks. So the ranger with dogs has 3 attacks because of the feature. You get 3 attacks, and you have your bonus action. So, but with the opportunist, you can sacrifice all 3 of your attacks during the attack action for you and your dogs combined to have 3 opportunity attacks, plus your reaction, plus the dog's reaction, plus your other dog's reaction. That would be a total of 7 opportunity attacks the 3 of your animals could make together. So you could just hold the line for your entire team with your 2 doggos, basically preventing anything from getting through. At 15th level, that's worth, man. That's pretty damn good. You can give them water breathing and stuff, tremor sense, so you don't have to worry about visibility. There's not a lot of 2nd rank powers, but they're pretty damn good. Castigation, when you channel this power, choose a creature you can see. You always know which. Castigation is basically like Mark of Prey without all the really cool stuff to it. Cloud Strider, while you sustain, you can fly using your walking speed. You have to end your turn standing on a surface that will support you, or the power ends. But when the power ends, you benefit from the Featherfall spell. So you can fetch all your animals into Cloud Striding. Deadly Presence, while this power is sustained, you aren't restrained, stunned, or paralyzed, or incapacitated. Any creature that you can see that begins its turn or moves within reach of your melee attack takes a power die of damage. And if you were to sustain 4 mana, the damage die becomes 2 power dice. So the Deadly Presence at 2nd, anyone that comes within basically adjacent to you or either of your dogs, they'll automatically take a power die of damage. There you go. Yeah, so that's the. I don't see any need to change anything. Let me check this again real quick. When you as a 2nd rank sustained power, when you can summon. Okay, so the dog can benefit from the Mark of Prey, but the dog doesn't create the Mark of Prey. By the time you get to 15th level, when you hit, you can use your bonus action. At this point, anytime you hit with a weapon, that target can automatically be marked for free. But so by 15th level, when your dogs hit, then you can choose to spend a bonus action to mark that prey. So in some instances, it'd be like a dog. It'd be really efficient for you to be a ranged attacker using archery, so you can fire over your pets to mark prey as you need, so your dogs will automatically be able to benefit. So your dog holds the line, and then you stand back from the dog and launch arrows over the dog, and the dog acts as a shield for you. Starting at 7th level especially, because they're going to be able to use opportunity attacks to prevent targets from closing distance with you. And by 15th, you can summon a horse to ride and have your dog companion with you, so you can stay mobile with your dog running alongside of you and blocking hits as they come in as you go. So that's the Beastmaster. I think it's a pretty good improvement over anything that we've seen offered so far from Wizards of the Coast. It just makes it basically just, it's kind of like how the Echo Knight lets you be 2 places at the same time. This does the same thing basically. Echo Knight isn't an official Wizards of the Coast class, even though they offered on DMsGuild, on Dungeon Masters, on D&D Beyond. We know that they offer third-party content on there that isn't necessarily WotC IP, which means I can't officially publish something, but I am going, once we get everything locked down, I will create options for the Echo Knight. And if anyone has requests, I am willing to create alternate power features and create a bonus list for other classes if you want. For those that are curious, the Blood Hunter, everything that the Blood Hunter, like all the curses and all of the blood rights and all that stuff, all the features from the Blood Hunter are already in here as powers. So if you like stuff from the Blood Hunter, you can play the Blood Hunter as a paladin, ranger, fighter, barbarian, rogue. Just kit it out. Just take Blood Hunter powers, Blood Hunter themed powers, and just use those for like your ranger. Like you'd be a Blood Hunter ranger, or you'd be a Blood Hunter paladin, or a Blood Hunter rogue, or blah 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 blah. Blood Hunter warlock. So they're all folded in here. Let's see. Hey Tex, what's up? Yeah. I like the idea of it. I just don't. I don't believe in using hit dice or hit points as a core resource. Hit die, like 1 hit die can equal 1 mana using this system, because at 20th level you have 20 hit dice. If you want to spend hit, like the barbarian can spend hit dice to get mana back. So that's a very barbarian thing to do. But the idea of like I spend 3 hit points and I get to ramp up my spell. If that ability is worth more than a 1st level spell, then your cleric using a 1st level spell to heal you means that you're basically getting free. You're basically getting free powers. Like if I spent 8 points of hit points to ramp up Blood Hunter effects, and then my cleric drops 8 hit points on me, I've gotten more value out of the Blood Hunter hurting themselves because it's automatically nullified by the cleric healing them up, and you're gaining resource economy, which is why hit points are generally a really bad idea to use as a resource, because especially with 2024, they're doubling the amount of healing that you get. So now you can just dump in ridiculous amount of healing into characters. Anything that requires hit points to create resources is just broken at this point. Like a paladin blood hunter would be able to use lay on hands to be able to heal back their blood hunting stuff. There's no risk there. There's no risk. So I will point out, we are not going to adjust healing, or most of the stuff in this book gives you temporary hit points, not healing. But in what instances there is healing, we're not going to double down like they're going to do with Player's Handbook. That's something that really makes spellcasters that much more of a spellcaster. A cleric is a devoted caster. If you want your paladin to be able to cast spells, then to be able to be really good at healing, then keep the healing spells on your power list, because the ranger and the paladin can freely mix and match between spells and powers, because you can prep them out every day. And yeah, no, I agree. The whole hit point is just yeah. But the flavor of the Blood Hunter is freaking amazing. It's really, really cool narrative. It just needs a better resource system, which I will argue I am offering. So Drake Warden, I got about 20 minutes left. I'm going to reset my alarm because this is going to go off in a few seconds. I got 20 minutes. Wait. Just so we know, I was saying that you always get a martial strike power. All conclaves start with a strike power at 1st level or at 3rd level. So whenever you use Mark of Prey, you're able to have a strike power for free once you get your conclave. At first level, if you want to benefit from a strike power, you just pick one up, because at first level you'll be able to gain powers. So if you want to take advantage of the free power die you get from the Mark of Prey, you're going to spend one of your 2 prep powers as a martial power, and then as a strike power, and then at 3rd level, whichever conclave you pick up, you'll automatically get a strike, so that you can free up your options that way. Let's see. So the martial strike becomes your default free strike, and looking at the martial strike, this one is new because of the way that they built the weapon masteries. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana channeled, and you can use 1 combat mastery you have prepared, or that is the property of a weapon that you hit with. Normally, you can't use the strike powers with weapon masteries. Let's look at masteries real quick, just so you know where we're at with those, because it's a little important. Because it's going to pop up again with the Ranger. We have 13 combat masteries. The one with asterisks are included as weapon masteries in the new player's handbook. Topple, the Vex, Topple, Slow, Sap, Push, Nick, and Cleave. These are all features of weapons in the player's handbook. The way that we've restructured it is, if you're proficient with that weapon, you automatically know how to use the mastery, and you can. So you don't need the martial power system is replacing the masteries that you learn. If you want to learn masteries, you can learn them as your prepared powers. Otherwise, pick a weapon with a mastery that you like. You'll automatically be able to use it. So you can be bristling with weapons. This also means that like your wizard, for instance, if your wizard is proficient in heavy crossbow, don't know yet if they are, but if they were to be proficient with a heavy crossbow, they would be able to use the push power for free. But most of the time they're going to use a cantrip because it's going to deal more damage. But if they need to push an opponent away, they can pull out the crossbow, pop them, and then they'll have their bonus action open to do whatever you want. The way that the power system works is that when you learn a master, when you prepare, old language, when you prepare a combat mastery, you can apply the effect to any weapon attack that hits. Combat masteries cannot be used while channeling a strike power or other weapon masteries unless a feature specifies that you can, such as the paladin strike feature or the martial strike power. We replaced that power. So that's what that martial power does. You add extra smite damage dice, and you can choose a mastery. And these can be used if you prepare it. Like you could use a dagger and still push somebody. I've stabbed people with daggers and pushed them pretty effectively. Martial arts, not like a wooden. I haven't actually stabbed a bitch yet, but in training many times I have stabbed bitches with knives. And I will tell you, in heavy martial art combat, weapons are not like, I grapple with weapons all the time. Like a 3-foot blade is great for grappling. Like nothing slows your opponent down like choking them out with the blade of a weapon. Like stay still, take a nap, or you're gonna slit your own throat, and that's your fault. So your target tends to stay really still when they have a blade on their throat, and you can knock them out that way. It's really effective. So these 13 powers, you can learn as many of them as you want, and if you have the martial strike, you can use that. Now, one of the kicker effect for the paladin is if you use your bonus action, you can add an extra die of damage for free, and you can channel a strike, and you can channel any mastery that you know on top of whatever it is that you're doing with your strike power. So you can double dip. That makes the paladin really attractive right out the gate at level 1. That's how they retain their uniqueness in comparison to all the other classes also being able to use like smite-like powers. Paladins can automatically do more damage if they're willing to sacrifice their bonus, and they can double dip effects right away out the gate. So that's pretty useful. But yeah, that's how it works. And as opposed to strikes that generally don't require saving throws, and then you get out of it later, all of these require saving. Most of these, if it makes sense, they require saving throws first. But like the top level ability, you can target you hit makes a Constitution saving throw, gets knocked prone. Right there you go. But up above the tripping power, you automatically trip something based on how much mana you spend as the size of the target you can trip. So you can't trip a gargantuan-sized creature until you're like 17th level. So that's appropriate because that's the kind of shit you're dealing with. So let's see. That's the martial strike that you get, which works great with dogs. Let's go down to the Drake Warden. Drake Warden is basically a specialized form of Beastmaster, so it's going to have the same sort of complexity, veterinary training. No, I don't think that exists anymore. So I need to swap that. We used to have a bunch of exploits that would modify die rolls independently, but they were too niche to be worth the mana spend. So we consolidated all of the ability things into a first rank sustained power, which is called Empowered Ability. While sustaining, it's 1 mana. So while sustaining this power, choose 1 ability score. You have advantage while rolling checks and saves with that chosen ability. In addition, while this power is sustained, you can also roll 1 power die per mana spent. So you would spend mana to roll extra power dice up to your max channel limit, adding the highest roll of those die rolls to that ability check or saving throw. So like my rogue, my ranger could have empowered ability as dexterity. At first level, I wouldn't be able to channel hunt at Mark of Prey because that's also sustained power. So at 5th level, I could have 2 empowered abilities at the same time, like a fighter champion might empower both strength and constitution. So all my strength is at advantage automatically, all my constitution stuff is automatically at advantage, and anytime I can throw 1 or more mana to roll extra dice, and in this system you keep the highest die so that your die rolls don't become like plus 30. It's still only going to be like normally at best plus 10, which is the same sort of ramping that you can do with Bard's inspiration dice, and you can't stack inspiration with power dice. So if you're already applying an ability, a power die to an ability check, you can't use inspiration on that, so you save it because you're inspiring yourself effectively. That prevents you from double or triply stacking effects to break the bounded accuracy, which is something I hope Wizards has thought about when they're looking at different powers that add on ability bonuses. It's just smart. Like if you're going to roll a die to modify one ability, an ability roll, you shouldn't have other dice modify them as well. That helps stay in that bounded accuracy that they bragged about so much back in 2014, that they subsequently completely abandoned. So just punching up a little bit, guys. You built the system. You should learn to play by your own rules. Let's see. Drake Warden. Okay, so we need to replace veterinary training. We picked that up because it's a pet. It made sense at the time. But instead, well, let's double check real quick just to make sure it's not there, because I'm pretty sure veterinary training no longer exists. But just to make sure I know my own system. Yep. So adapted, empowered ability, I think makes a lot of sense. Let's go with that. Empowered. You know what? Actually, no. Empowered ability as a sustained power makes no sense because you're going to be most likely sustaining Mark of Prey. So that's a bad idea, Kearney. Bad idea. Maybe there's a maneuver we can use instead. Or a reaction that might make more sense. I think a maneuver makes sense. Hold on. Rally. Let's go with Rally. You and one ally that you can see gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the total of 1 power die rolled for each point of mana burned, each point of mana spent. We're replacing the language in the mana system to be a little less eccentric. Let's see. That's a really good one, Rally. And that's a maneuver 1. Adaptive resistance still exists. Mounted combatant is a feat, and it's natural for the Drake Warden. Let's verify adaptive resistance is here. There it is. Adaptive resistance is an example of a multi-kicker sort of effect. While you sustain this power with 1 mana, choose a basic damage type: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. You gain resistance to it. You gain advantage on saving throws to reduce the damage taken of the chosen damage. And I can channel this multiple times, choosing a different damage type every time I spend an extra point. Alternatively, energy resistance. When I sustain this power with 2 mana, I can choose force, necrotic, poison, psychic, or radiant damage. I gain resistance to that. I gain advantage on my saving throws to reduce damage taken from that sort. And I can channel it multiple times. And of course, I'd have to be 13th level to channel it twice because it'd be 4 sustained powers. That's expensive. And then also for 2 points, I can be resistant to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. So like at 9th level with 3 rank, like if I'm going to always sustain Mark of Prey, I wouldn't be able to make use of these until 9th level, unless I'm willing to give up my Mark of Prey to turn these on. You see? That's really useful. That's useful, and it makes sense for the Drake Warden. Mounted combat makes sense. Controlled fall. If I fall out of my saddle, it reduces the amount of damage I take. Extended attack gives me reach. Yeah, extended attack still exists. Unnatural resistance. That's been replaced with that. This no longer exists. That is now adaptive resistance. So, but at this point, we can start taking sustained powers. So I think this is a good place for us to take empowered ability, which is a sustained power 1. And then charge is an exploit. I think it's still first rank. Let's go look at both controlled fall as a reaction and charge real quick, just so you guys are in the know. Reactions, controlled fall. As a reaction to falling, you can land on your feet instead of prone and reduce the damage taken by 10 times your max rank. So at first rank, it's 10 hit points, so I could fall and reduce the damage 10 feet and land on my feet. There you go. And then, what is this one? Charge. Let's look at what charge does. Charge. When you move at least 10 feet, the first attack you make after this movement is rolled with advantage. And you can roll 1 power die per mana spent this way, adding the highest result to your attack roll. So you get advantage, and you get to spike your attack damage, your attack roll. So charging almost guarantees that you're going to run into your opponent, but that's kind of the point. You're kind of running into them, so you should get advantage. That's also pretty useful for a dragon. Daunting Presence and Wave of Terror. Daunting Presence, that's 17th, that's 5, 1, 2, and then the channeled mark. That all jives. So let's look at Wave of Terror. I think that's still 3rd rank. Wave of Terror makes a lot of sense for a dragon. Pop my neck. Oops. Wave of Terror is now 4th. That's right, I adjusted it. You can choose any number of creatures you can see to make a wisdom saving throw. Each creature that fails is frightened of you. The effect ends for a creature when it succeeds a wisdom saving throw at the end of each of its turns, or it can no longer see you. So I'm fine with Wave of Terror remaining as a 4th, because I can still sustain Wave of Terror and the Mark of Prey. Let's go look at Daunting Presence. I think that's still 3rd. If it's not, we'll have to take a... Oh, that's right. It's just a maneuver. You can do that. You can do that no matter what. That's not a problem. It's Daunting Presence that we need to be concerned about. Not to be confused with Deadly Presence. Deadly Presence is you deal damage to suffer. I might have to change that name. We'll leave it for now until we find something better or we're killed. While sustaining this power, attacks targeting you by creatures you can see roll with disadvantage. And when you are the only target of an effect that requires you to make a saving throw, you roll with advantage. In addition, while sustaining this power, you can spend 1 mana and target a creature as a bonus action. If the target fails a wisdom saving throw, it is frightened of you while you can see it. The target can make an additional save at the end of its turn to end the frightened conditions. That's basically the Wave of Terror, but it only affects 1 target for 1 mana, as opposed to an area of effect for all creatures for 4 mana. That jives. Okay, that's good. Now let's look at its gifts. As source, you gain a Drake, CTCE, blah. Shared power, you can channel strikes through companion attack, and Drake attacks can benefit from Mark of Prey. In addition, you can target your Drake separately with a sustained power, tapping mana separately for your companion. You can sustain the same power for yourself and your pet. up to the maximum rank of power. For instance, a 5th rank power can tap 2 mana to sustain a 1st rank power for both yourself and your companion. You see how this is less, it has less utility than the Beast Companion does? The Beast Companion is really there for you to have the animals work in tandem with you. The Drake Warden is more designed for you to be riding it and for you to be working as a unit together in a single space. So the way that its action economy works and the benefits that you get are slightly different. But we may update that in time. Assumes, let's see, we're using the Drake stat blocks for flight and size and stuff like that because they can be really big. Spend 2 mana, you can resummon the Drake with full hit points. You can take damage for your companion using your own hit points, just like with the above. Your Drake can move and act in tandem with the Ranger during your turn. Ranger can command the Drake as a bonus action or as an attack. Ranger and Drake both have reactions each round at Ranger. And then at 5th level, the Ranger can command the Drake to attack as a bonus action or as one or both attacks per round. So bonus action, attack. You can have your Drake attack 3 times. Bond of Fate and Scale deals extra power die of damage on attacks instead of the D6. So you'll do a D6, and at level 9 it'll be D8, and then D10. And then if it's a marked prey, it'd be a D12 at 20th. We automatically gain resistance to the color of dragon that we are dictating. The shared power becomes channel exploits and reactions through companion attacks. Breath weapon, you get it, and you can recharge it with 3 mana. Shared power, you can channel maneuvers through the companion, and the companion or ranger can be the point of origin whenever you are using an effect. And the perfected bond is you have the reflexive saving throw to gain resistance to stuff as per TCE. And then the shared power is when you channel a power, when you channel sustain power, the Drake benefits from it for free. So it's like you get extra benefits from the Drake, so you get less benefit, like less class perks like you do for the pets, for the Beastmaster. So Fey Wanderer. Fey Wanderer is one of the conclaves that gains 5 spells. If in 2024 they get 10 spells, then we'll drop the power list and you'll be able to keep your spells. Psionic Strike is a 1st rank strike power, so let's go take a look at that real quick. Your weapon deals force or psychic damage and adds 1 power die per mana burn. There you go. Pretty simple. Mobile, the feat, you get your movement going. That's good. That makes sense. Omnilinguist is a sustained power 1. You can speak to anything that has a verbal that has some sort of a language. Delusional Strike. I don't know if Delusional Strike stayed 2nd or if it gained. I think it's 3rd rank now. Where are you? Yeah, still 2nd. Your weapon can deal psychic damage. Again, psychic damage, Fey. There you go. Add a power die, extra damage. Choose one. Okay, so Delusional Strike's great. You roll your power die. At 2nd rank, you're still using a D6 because 5th level, right? So you'd roll a D6, and it could be anything of these 3 things. It either drops anything that it holds. The creature uses all its movement to move in a random direction. Roll a D8 to see which direction that is. And then if you roll a 6, the creature makes a melee attack against a random creature within reach. At 9th level, if you channel this, you still only need 2 mana to channel it, but you'll be rolling a D8 power die. So instead, you would roll a D8, which has the same benefits, but you have a higher chance of the monster, creature attacking a random target. And then at 17th level, you begin rolling a D10, and at 20th level, you roll a D12. So if you get 9 or above, the creature doesn't move or take any actions this turn. They basically get stunned for the round. So there you go. So the creature acts as listed at the start of its turn and otherwise takes no action until the end of its turn. So it only does what it says that you do here. The creature acts as listed at the start of its turn and otherwise... that's poorly worded. The creature acts as listed at the start of its turn and can, let's see, creature uses all its movement to move in a random direction. To move in a straight line in a random direction. If there is an obstacle, it stops when it is adjacent to that obstacle. If there is a creature or object in the path, it stops when it is adjacent to that obstacle. There we go. You needed to clean that up a little bit. The creature acts as listed at the start of its turn and can use the rest of its actions as it chooses. The effect lasts until the end of its turn. There. So Delusional Strike's pretty fucking useful. And then auto attunement. You pick up a magic item and can use it. That's great. Dreadful Strikes. When you hit your marked prey with a weapon attack, you can choose to deal psychic damage for free, basically. There you go. Otherworldly Glamour. Otherworldly Glamour equals charisma checks gain bonus equal to the max rank of power gained as a ranger. So this is a 3rd level feature. It'd be a +1 bonus. In addition, you gain the skilled feat, gaining proficiency in deception, performance, and persuasion. If you have any of these already, you can choose a different skill, tool, or language. Beguiling Twist, it stays the same. What exactly is that? Hold on. And then we're gonna have to finish with this one. We'll come back on Friday. We'll do the rest of them. Fey Wanderer. Beguiling Twist. The magic guards your mind. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. Cool. In addition, whenever this is going to change, I think, in 2024, but as of right now, in addition, whenever you or a creature you can see within 120 feet of you succeeds on a saving throw, being charmed, blank, blank, blank. Oh, that's a really good point. Hold on. Did they update with Fey Wanderer? Is that something we can look at? I don't think so. I already know that the Beastmaster we have is better than what they're offering, so I have no reason to change that. Right now, I'm just looking to see. Doesn't look like there's anything official about Fey Wanderer yet. We'll just have to wait. We'll just have to wait for September to see it. Okay, that's fair. Fey Reinforcements. That's unchanged. You pull in an ally. And then Misty Wanderer. You can cast Misty Step without spending mana. You can do so a number of times equal to the max rank of power gained as a ranger. At 15th, it'd be 4. At 17th, it'll be 5. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. In addition, whenever you cast Misty Step, you can bring along one willing creature you can see within 5 feet of you. That creature teleports to an unoccupied space of your choice within 5 feet of the destination space. There you go. Okay, cool. So, Fey Wanderer's checking out. Continue here on 705. There you go. So we got the Gloomstalker to walk through again, the Horizon Walker, Hunter, Monster Slayer, Swarm Keeper, and that's it. So we got 5 to go. We'll get through those. We'll get through those, no problem. All right, cool. So that's it for now, guys. I actually have Friday off. So when I log on tomorrow, I'll be able to go through all of the Rangers, no problem. I have plenty of time to do it. And then on Monday, we're going to get the Monk. So when we're here next week on Tuesday, we'll be able to go through all the shit that we have for the monk and update it accordingly, and then start making sure that we're complying with the scaffolding that they rebuilt for the monk. I'm honestly really looking forward to that. I think we have them beat, but we got to see what it is first. So that's it for today. I'm going to be back on tomorrow morning to do more Eberron cartography. We're building a gazebo battleground, a dilapidated gazebo in the wilderness as a battle map. And we'll be on tomorrow at lunchtime like this. We'll be on to... we'll be doing subclass. We'll be doing archetypes for all the classes in Spelljammer. I don't remember what we're working on right now, but it'll be fun. And then on Thursday we'll be back in the. Oh wait, Thursday is the 4th of July. It's America here. I don't think I'm gonna be on Thursday. So then on Friday we'll be back in the morning to do more Eberron stuff, and then we'll be back. I have the day off, so I'll be back on for a however long it takes on Friday for us to continue with the Ranger and see what else. Maybe we'll pick out monsters a little bit too. But and then on Saturday will be my open stream, Saturday morning breakfast stream. We'll see whatever it is. But hey, thanks a lot for checking this stuff out. If you like it, of course, subscribe, like, blah. I have a permanent link in my Discord down below now. So you are welcome to jump in, and I'll see you guys in the future. Thanks a lot for hanging out. And hey, thanks, Alexander. Thanks a lot for hanging out and being interested. I hope more people feel the same way in the future. So I'm looking forward to building this book and publishing it with you guys. Thanks a lot.